Welcome back, model builders, for another Ford model kit build. This is AMT 65 Fairlane Modified Stocker kit. These kits are basically hacked up and butchered model kits from AMT's annuals of the 1960s, where in, I think, either the late 60s or early 70s, they took these annual kits and butchered them into these modified stockers so that they could get a couple more years out of these tools. And they've been reissued multiple times over the years, and round two has done them yet again. It's kind of sad to me because I like to build models of stock cars, and these annuals would have been nice ones to have, and I'm particularly grating over the 69 Falcon kit not being available as a stock build anymore because I own a late 60s Falcon. But they're here, and they can be made into something interesting, and they're reasonably accurate for 1960s, early 70s, short track type stock cars. So the one thing I didn't like about these kits, and my first model kit was a 64 Galaxy that I built when I was a kid. It was one of these modified stocker kits. But one of the things I never liked about these kits was that they came with these ridiculously wide tires. And I mean, these things stick out of the fender wells literally half again the distance of the ones I wound up using on this kit that I built. So I never liked these, and these turned me off to buying any of these kits for quite a while. So what I did with this one was I went through my scrap box of spare tires and found ones that would fit the wheels, kind of, and made them work on this kit. So they don't stick out as far. It's more of a realistic, I think, size tire for most of these being asphalt cars. The dirt cars, yeah, there were some that used those super wide tires, but I think they were the exception rather than the rule based on the research that I did on the internet. So I made a little asphalt circle track type stock car out of this kit, and this is my build. That is the main difference between what comes in the box and what I built was I used these other tires. And these are, you'll notice that they're two different tires. This side I have some styrene, hard plastic, two-piece tires that have raised white letters on them. And on this side, the only other tires I had in my scrap box were kind of plasticky vinyl ones that were two-piece cut right in the middle. And so I used them on the other side. So you can't look at both sides of the car at the same time. So, there you go. It's what I had. I couldn't find anything else that was suitable. Now, I'm thinking that maybe if you picked up a NASCAR kit, a more modern NASCAR kit or something, you might be able to come up with some tires that would work better. The wheels, I had to trim down the backers, almost cut them in half. I left the chrome outer parts the same because there wasn't really any way to trim those back. So on the back side of the wheels, they don't look great. And in fact, there's a lot of things about this kit and my build of it that don't look great. So this is not one that I'm really proud of, but I'm showing it to you because it's, it's a kit and I built it. And that's part of the review series that I'm doing. So let's get to the details. The body is a 65 Fairlane, obviously, and it doesn't have a lot of detail anymore. They shaved the door handles off. It does come with a rear window if you elected to use it, but most stock cars did not have any back windows, so I left that out. The taillights, obviously, were blanked off for it being a stock car version. And there is still some trim molded on the car, like the rocker molding is still there, and the rain gutters could be, picked out or foiled if you wanted to. My thinking was stock cars, they took all that nonsense off. But the chrome windshield moldings were probably still there, so we did those in bare metal foil. The front bumper and grille is one piece. Again, they blanked the headlights out, but curiously, they left the turn signals in. And there's such detail on the turn signal lenses that I didn't really feel right about leaving them chrome or painting them silver. So I made them amber because the box art has the same thing for whatever reason. So the hood pins, obviously, they were added, and the fender wells are cut out in a monstrous fashion. So any of these modified stocker kits, if you have any illusions of turning these into stock builds, good luck with that, because there are massive fender cuts that are going to have to be filled in. And you have to deal with the lights, and no door handles, and just no wipers. I mean, that's all been removed from the molds. So these are pretty much just going to be stock cars or something like that. So I'm going to turn it upside down and show you the underside. And as we have learned to expect from the annual reissues, the underside, not a whole lot going on. Everything's molded into the floor pan except for the drive shaft loop and the exhaust pipes. This drive shaft loop brace, I guess was what it is not shown anywhere in the instructions, but it does line up with the floor pan frame rails. So I think it was intended to be used in this kit, and I just kind of guessed at where it went. The exhaust pipes and the headers really did not line up on mine. The 427 engine doesn't seem like it belongs in this kit, and it's really crammed in there, and those headers just really don't fit very well, at least in a way that they don't line up with the exhaust system, as you can see. The engine oil pan was not pre-drilled for the axle. It did have kind of a hint of where it was supposed to go, but I just glued this into the chassis and then ran a drill bit across it so that it would line up correctly. Let's go topside. All right, let's talk about the interior next. The interior tub, and it's a one-piece tub, has been reconfigured to be a race car, so there's no door trim panel detail or anything like that. It's all riveted aluminum panels. The seat, and you only get one, is a stock factory type bucket seat with some seat belts. The shifter is a 4 on the floor. You got the three pedals there as well. The steering wheel itself is stock. The dashboard has the instruments removed and a metal plate riveted over. There is a tachometer that was shown to attach to the steering column, but I could not make it fit. It was too big. I also could not make it fit the top of the dash. It was too deep. And the windshield kept hitting it. You are able to put on these 3 accessory gauges, however. That's the location that they show for those. The roll cage is a fiddly thing to put together, and it doesn't fit particularly well. And it also fouls against the steering wheel, which is apparently too broad for it. You can see the steering wheel's not in there straight. It's cocked sideways. Under the hood, we've got the 427. Chrome valve covers and air cleaner. The alternator also comes chrome, but I painted that. Firewall detail is molded in. There's the slot for the 1970s AMT hood hinge metal clip thingamabob that never worked. It does not come as part of this reissue. The radiator support has some decent detail on the front of it, but on the back it's pretty much plain. And it comes with a handy oil cooler and a battery to cover up 2 big sinkhole marks. The kit decals, I used the number decals and the checkered flags off of the factory, the kit decal sheet. The sponsor decals are ones that I borrowed from a MPC 73 Mustang. And the livery on these was usually not heavy on the sponsor decals. These were short track guys, and they weren't getting money from a lot of places. There are a number of other decals in the kit. There's several other number versions you can use for numbers. and a couple of local sponsors like I think Bernie's Salvage and Dave's Garage or something like that, which would be appropriate for a short track race car like this. I decided to keep it minimalist. The decals go on pretty decently. I did strangely have some trouble with these wanting to tear on me, and I'm not usually a guy who has problems with decals, so I don't know why that was in this particular sheet with the numbers, but other than that, they were fine. The Rebel decal does come in the kit. Fit is pretty decent. Front and rear bumpers fit good. The rear bumper there's some body pins that come down from the trunk into the floor pan, and the rear bumper has two tabs that kind of get caught in between those. So locating that's pretty easy, and it only fits one way, so whatever you wind up with is what you get. There is a center tab or pin that goes to a tab underneath the fuel door that I don't see any way it would work with using the other tabs on the rear bumper, so I ended up cutting that off. And there's also one on the front grille, a little pin that sticks out that doesn't go to anything, so I lopped that one off as well. That's essentially it. It's a very simple kit, not a lot of parts, probably good for a beginning modeler if you want something that's not too complex, and if you're willing to put up with a couple of fit issues here and there. But it's easy enough. It's not bad for a beginner. I did two-tone this with my usual trick of using pinstriping tape along the hard edges. It came out pretty well. The colors, are both leftover paints that I've used in other kits from my local hardware store. They're not model car paints. You can use regular old spray enamel from Rust-Oleum or Krylon or whoever you like, as long as you prime the body parts first. And I use a white primer on light colored cars. Makes coverage much easier. You don't want to use a dark gray because, for example, this yellow that I used here, which is actually darker than what you're seeing here in this lighting, will let the dark primer bleed through. It takes too many coats otherwise to try to cover that up. But as you can see, it comes out pretty decent. Some paints are better than others. And that's basically it. There's not much to this kit. Another reissue from round 2. For another version of this build, you can go to HPI Guy's YouTube page and look at the one he did. He uses the stock wheels and tires, and you'll see just how wide those tires are and why I don't like them in that video. Always appreciate your comments. Please check out my other Ford model kit videos. Subscribe if you want to keep seeing these coming your way. And as always, I thank you for watching.